sit quietly next to you. I am considering this while I wanted to see about us. Your face, we are back. Your voice, your love. So welcome back, everyone, to the second installment in this series, based on the project that I did called Dancing with My Mother. And this is just a compilation of songs that I've made using the SUNO AI music generator. And a lot of the songs came from poems that I wrote. And so this is going to be the second one in that series. And it's called The Dance. This one has it's not unique at all, but the beginnings of it had absolutely nothing to do with my mother. I wrote the poem called The Dance around 2001, 2002, when I just moved from Durham, North Carolina to Dallas, Texas. And I was staying with my friend, Gary. And Gary was a student at a college somewhere in the Dallas area. And one day he said, "Hey man, I got a class tonight. Do you just want to come hang out?" So I said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So he took me to campus. And when we got there, he signed me onto one of the computer terminals and he went to class. And in the 45 minutes or so that I was sitting at the computer, I wrote this poem. And it is mostly like a romantic type poem. But when I wrote the poem, there was nothing going on. Like I was not in a relationship or anything. It's just one of those poems that it just came to me, and I wrote it. So over the years, I've always had that poem in my back pocket. Like, hey, if you ask me to share with you a poem or something that I wrote that I really liked, how it turned out, I have many, but this would be one of at least top 2. So we'll jump into it, and maybe along the way I can explain why it made sense when I was thinking about the project that I was going to do for my mother. And I believe this one is one of those that I was working on even before she passed away. Like it was already part of the project. And after she passed away, of course, I probably went back and did some more work on it to make it more fitting. But I don't think I had to change a whole lot. So the way it starts is it says, at times when I sit quietly next to you, I am considering this. And to be honest, I probably wrote those lines because I was actually sitting down. So it says, at times when I see it, I think I was actually just sitting at the computer typing these words. Quietly next to you, I was definitely sitting quietly next to a lot of other students. And what I was considering was definitely just my own thoughts. But when I put this in the context of this project, it means a little bit more, right? Right now I'm thinking about sitting next to the memories of my mother. There's nothing else around. So I could be in any environment. And especially the very first hours and days and weeks and months after she passed away. If you've lost anyone, maybe you've gone through this, you can sit there and you're quietly having these conversations, or you're quietly reminiscing over past experiences. You're quietly, remembering or having a conversation, and that's what it comes to me, and that's what it means to me in this moment. Like I can definitely be sitting in a crowded room, or I can be sitting by myself, and it could feel like she's right next to me, and I start to consider certain things. And so this is how the poem then progresses. It says, while I wonder to see about us, your face, your voice, your love illuminates the far edges of my thoughts, my dreams, my reality. I can see forever, also clearly, enjoying every moment as if apart from the rest, and this I do. And what the picture that is painted in my mind when I think about this verse is, I don't know about most people, but I can remember what my mother looked like, but I cannot clearly see a face. I can think of the pictures that I have, but if I were to try and just do a standalone try to visualize what she looks like, that's not the easiest part for me. But her voice, I can hear that one so clearly. I can hear things that she would or she might say to me if I were having a conversation with her today. That's one part that I haven't lost. And of course, the overwhelming sense of her love for me. I've spoken at length about how much she loved me. If you go back to some podcasts, the one that's called Mother, it has in there the stories of how her love for me kind of showed itself. And that's what kind of, when I say here, illuminates the far edges of my thoughts and my reality, that's it paints that picture. Like, even if I start losing the ability to see a face for myself, but her voice kind of brings everything back into focus. And I can enjoy whatever thoughts that I'm having. I don't have any thoughts where she's, she makes things bad or worse, or she says mean things. It could be just selective memory, but most of what I think is her giving me advice and, just helping me along, acknowledging or challenging my thoughts. And this part that says as if apart from the rest, I like the way that sounds, because it allows me to pull what I'm thinking about from the chaos of everyday life. I still have to be a husband, a father, a provider. I still have a job work that I have to do. And there are things that I still have to do. But her part in my existence allows me to separate, just steal some of those. Like when I think about her, there's a comfort there that takes me out of everything else. I don't see her imprint in everything that I do. Maybe that's a good way of saying it. I don't see her. I'm not seeing her presence. I'm not trying to find her in everything that I do. But I like the fact that when I go to a place where I think about her, it can just be a special thing, a special memory, a special whatever it is that whatever I needed at that moment. The next part says, each time I see you in this my silence, you are apart from all things. Listening to love's unsung melodies, at times they are loud like thunder rumbling, like a volcano burning the deepest core. Still I hear love's song, at times blue and mellow, sometimes mystical, even mythical. Songs still and silent, at times barely whispered, the songs of my heart. I think this part was a lot more real in the days and weeks and months immediately following her passing. There was a lot more silence that I needed so I could deal with the loss. But the loss itself was like super loud. I needed the quietness to deal with the chaos that was actually happening. And I know I'm not unique in this. When you lose someone, there's a reckoning that comes with that. Like, did I do enough to show them my love? Did I love them enough when they needed it? What about this thing that I did? How do I reconcile? How do I find peace? Maybe I could have done better. There's a lot of soul searching, and sometimes, especially, I don't know, people talk about a mother's love, how unique that is. I can vouch for that, and as a child, I wanted to live up to all of her expectations of love. So there are this line here, listening to love's unsung melodies. There are some things that I wanted to do for her. I wish that I had 10 more years. She was 77 when she passed away. And in my heart, I wished I had 10 more years. I had these moments that I wanted to have with her. Talking about unsung melodies, I had these things I wanted to enjoy with her. There was so much more I wanted to see happen for her, for us. I wanted her to enjoy her grandkids more. There was so much beauty that I was hoping for. That if she had been given 10 more years, those melodies would have been sung. I think of the time when I took my wife to Zimbabwe for the first time, how she danced, my mother danced, how my mother sang for her, and all my sisters and my niece. That was in my mother's house that she was living in at the time. And I took my wife to the village, and how my auntie in the village sang and danced, and she brought all the other women from our village to come to my brother's house, and they sang for her and they danced for her. And then my brother threw a party for us, and all my cousins and extended family showed up, and we had a big old party almost all night. I don't remember what time it ended, and it was almost like a wedding reception. That's what I I ended up telling my wife, like, when we got married, we only did this wedding in Oklahoma where we live. We didn't go back to Zimbabwe to do anything for the people there. So when I finally took my wife in 2018, after my father passed away, and people met her for the first time, there was all this joy. There was all this celebration. And people were singing the wedding songs they would have sung at our actual wedding. Before I did that, that was an unsung melody. That's a song that I did not know existed. I had not created it, But once I took her and it happened, I have that memory. I can hold on to that thing, those events. So when I think about my mother passing away when she did, there's so much that never happened. There's so much that I wished would have happened. I wish would have been given more time. And that's the aching, that's the breaking of the heart, Since at times they are loud like thunder rumbling. These are I loved it so much. I wish I had more time just to show you how much. Like a volcano burning the deepest core. I don't know. I'm not like a geologist or one of those, very smart people. I cannot tell you how hot it gets at the center of a volcano. I don't even know if that's the hottest part of the volcano. But that's kind of how heavy, how burning that sense of loss is. It's not just the pain. It's not like I'm just wailing out in pain. It's now, what do I do with all this love that I cannot give? The love is there. The love is real. I just don't have a vessel to put it in. I have no way to share it. It is sometimes mythical, songs still and silent, at times barely whispered. It's almost like a juxtaposed position. On one end, it's burning, it's close to the sun, it's deep as the ocean. And then on the other side of it, it's also very still, very silent, very quiet. It's almost like you can only talk about it in whispers. And I remember the first few days, weeks, when I was trying to have conversations with my siblings and other family members. You can just be on the phone and have nothing to say. And the silence almost says it all. You know that the person on the other side of the phone hears and understands your silence. And I know that's not really a unique perspective, and I know as long as most of us have been alive, there are some of those moments that just detect the words away. Words cannot do them justice. So that leads me to the next verse, which says, "Then I write a beautiful tale of dreams, of the harmony I fell in step with, of a feeling, a dreamy kind of reality, something that became my love for you." And this is really probably where my solace comes. Yeah, I can talk. I'm talking right now. And when I'm talking with others, I probably can add to the conversation. But a lot of my dealing with things is very introspective. I can think, and a lot of times after I've done a lot of thinking, I tend to write. I don't journal like daily. I don't do that. But if something really strikes me as this is sincere, I tend to write those things down. And most of what I've written is sitting in books, notebooks, somewhere. And every once in a while, I'll go back and I'll pull out something and I'll go over it and I'll say, what can I do with this now? But similar to what I'm doing now and what I did for this project, for this specific project, is writing something beautiful out of it. I know a lot of renowned writers and poets. They can capture a lot of other things, and they don't just write about how they feel. They can write about just some things they observe in nature. Painters can paint, the sky. They don't need a lot of words. My tool is pretty much often the writing and using words a lot of times to convey what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling. And 9 times out of 10, I do try to find the beauty in that. But I don't just try to make it glossy. I also want things to be honest. So this is kind of my tool. And if you've listened to most of our podcast episodes, a lot of times it's what I've written down that we sit down, myself and Steph and the kids, and we sit down together and we talk about that thing that I wrote. So this kind of just puts this, who I am, into this story. Like, of course, then I write a beautiful tale of dreams. And if you listen to the songs, you can kind of see that, Yes, there's a lot of longing, there's a lot of loss, but there's also a lot of celebration. There's a lot of beauty in what I'm putting out there. And one of the themes you'll see is that I do talk about dancing quite a lot. And if you didn't know my mother very well, you may not think about her in those terms. But if you talk to her kids and you talk to her grandkids, she did enjoy, a little bit of moving to this music. She didn't grow up dancing the way we think about dancing when we see people doing dances on YouTube or TikTok. No, but in a graceful way, in her beautiful way. If there was a song, like when I was talking about bringing my wife to Zimbabwe and they were singing, I have videos, and in those videos you can see she is moving to that and she is dancing to that, all those songs. If you ever went to church with her, and there's singing and people are standing up and it's a praise song, there's very graceful movement in that. And I know there are videos out there that, after she passed away, some of her grandkids were sharing, and there was music playing and they were dancing and she was dancing and they were dancing with her. So yeah, that might not be the thing that she's known for by most people the most, but that is the cadence, of my memories. It's like a dance. From my childhood to where I am now, every stage of my life with her is like a dance. A very beautiful, graceful, just one of the most, permanent ways of thinking about my lifetime with her is stages of a very beautiful choreographed dance. And the next verse is just 3 lines, says, then in my heart I dance with you, more so dance for you. And that kind of brings me to where I am now when I think about what I'm doing. I think this process of commemorating her is, she's not here, but in my memory, in my mind, I'm picking up from where, we last talked, we last shared a laugh, and I'm continuing the dance, I'm finding something beautiful in those memories. And I can look at my day to day, what I'm trying to accomplish, and I can imagine how would this conversation go if I picked up the phone today and I said, hey, it's Godwill, guess what? And I would tell her the thing. And I can imagine the response on the other side of the of the phone, of the conversation. And that's the dance for me, in my mind, in my heart. I choose to do that. I choose to have this. I know she's not gone. I know she's not coming back. There's no illusion in my life about that. I know she cannot hear my thoughts or my words. There's nothing going on there. There's a divide that cannot be crossed between this life and what's beyond the grave. But it's still a beautiful part of my life to imagine the joy that she would get from me and the joy that she would share with me. And that to me is what the dance really is about. And then the last verse says, even though you don't know it is so, yet in the rain I dance for you, high above the highest cloud, on love notes dangerously close to the sun, deeper than the ocean flow, yet right here in your arms, looking into your eyes, for you I dance. And that just kind of wraps it all. I mean, you can hear everything that I already said in this last verse. She has no clue, She has no clue she's gone. She has no clue that this is what life is like for me. But, you ever thought about the idea of dancing in the rain? Or have you actually ever danced in the rain? As a kid, I did it, we used to have these weird rains growing up in Zimbabwe. And I think it still happens. It could be a summer day, there's a cool breeze, and there are no clouds. Yet, out of nowhere, clouds come in, and it just rains. And it's one of those, it starts out as a warm summer rain, and then it can become like a cool summer rain, and before you know it, it's gone. And it just leaves the air clean. It just washes everything. Whatever was in the air, it's all gone. If you're a kid, like when I was young, it's fun to go out and dance in that kind of a rain. And that's the image. A very simple life, a very innocent time. I've never stepped on the highest cloud, but I've been flying in a plane above a cloud, it's a different perspective, you know. And I know a lot of times from the ground looking up, if it's not those dark, heavy clouds, if it's just some of those white, crispy clouds, you can imagine that you could sit on top of those. And you can imagine just how cool the air would be to breathe it in. Just how different it would be to look down from that cloud to see life going on down below. And you can imagine seeing everything from that perspective. People going by, plants, trees growing. If you're in a place where you can see a stream, a river, a lake, water flowing. I think if you are removed from what life is like down here and you get that perspective, you could see beauty in that. I think the perspective is more important than I just want to go down and live my life and be amongst the busyness of life. And I think that perspective can romanticize things. And that's where I am. I can step outside of just the business of life and sometimes just look at love, look at what it's like when things are going as they ought to go. And that's what love is like when I think about my mother in that sense. What would it be like to navigate all the days of life? Just watching, like I said, my kids growing up. What if there'd been some great grandkids? It's like just imagining what life would have been, you know, to say, wow, all of these things. And she was a part of those things as well. So those are the love notes that are dangerously close to the sun. You can definitely get burned. You can definitely get burned. Sometimes if you don't rein it in, the grief can become overwhelming. So, and again, it can be deeper than the ocean floor. You can definitely get buried in those. But you gotta experience it all. That's part of life. You know, the last part says, right here in your arms, looking into your eyes, for you I dance. I think it's just kind of that longing for something. You know, the last hug. I don't know when. Well, I know when the last hug was. That was again 2018 when I was flying, coming back to Oklahoma at the airport before I left. And my mother, you know, she gave really good hugs. You know, you felt the love, you know, and she had this smile on her face. And she would look you right in the eyes, and she would look me right in the eyes and tell me she loved me. And that kind of brings me right back to earth. Yeah, my thoughts can take me to soaring heights. My grief may try to, you know, take me into a deep dive. But the way she actually expressed love kind of brings me back to reality. And that's what this poem really is about. Yeah, I know I wrote it many years, many years before this moment. But like I said, I've always had this one in my back pocket because what it does, you know, at the beginning, like I said, it says, at times when I sit. So it takes you from that position of just sitting. But at the end, it says, you know, you're in this full dance. You're not just sitting and contemplating anymore. So you've kind of left that moment where you're just sitting and thinking, but through the movements, you're in a full-blown dance, in the arms of whoever you're thinking about, looking in their eyes. And that's kind of the journey that's what I really loved about the poem. Even though when I wrote it, it was just words on a piece of paper. But over time, I've been able to apply it, and I feel like it really is very applicable to this moment in my life, where start off just me thinking, but at the end, I'm uplifted. I'm part of something that's beautiful. I'm dancing, and all these things just come together. So once again, just wanted to put this out here, so if you're listening and maybe you're going through something, maybe you're thinking about someone you're missing, maybe someone you lost, maybe you too can relate. Maybe you can be comforted. This has been fun sharing these thoughts with you guys. I hope you enjoy them. I hope you find them comforting, helpful, whatever. And I'll see you in the next one. All right. Bye.
Of the harmony I felt in step